Hey everybody, this is Michael here with Max, and welcome to the Safe Zone. This time we're taking a look at the beta for Nether, which is currently available on early access via Steam. And this is a bit more of an open-worldy survival type game with a heavy emphasis on PvP, because it's all about jacking fools and taking their stuff. Say hello, Max.
Hi?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous too, because even though we're in this handy safe zone area at the moment, which means we can't attack people and they can't attack us, we're surrounded by bloodthirsty player killers and teleporting monster things. So this is going to be a fun time.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, so why don't we start making our way out of this area? I'm going to follow you so that we can check out your sweet character animation for the folks at home. And I'm kind of being somewhat sarcastic in saying that because you kind of look like a crazy robot. But that's
Yeah,
okay. That's okay. We're in beta, right? This is beta. Actually, this is a good point to discuss the fact that I don't think this game really deserves to be called a beta at this point, because really in software development, beta is when all of the features that are supposed to be in the software are present and you're just testing. But this game's actually missing quite a few features, which I think would, in my mind, prevent it from being called a true beta. I mean, you're missing things like being able to control sound levels and rebind keys and things like that, which in the grand scheme of things may seem like small features, but are really annoying, especially when you're trying to set up something like recording the game. Like not being able to change the volume of things directly in the game is kind of a bummer.
yeah, you have to like use the Alt tab to go out and then turn the game volume down and then come back in.
So that was something interesting I just noticed. We're actually playing a new build of the game, and this is my first time playing it. It seemed like when we left the safe zone there, we were actually protected for a time. I guess that's to prevent people from just sniping people as they leave, which was definitely a problem in subsequent or prior playthroughs that I had made of this game.
Yeah, the whole PvP aspect can be quite vexing.
Yeah, I think there's a definite plateau, that people hit that they're seriously playing this game hardcore, and I think they probably hit it pretty quickly, where they get the weapons and the equipment that they need to basically survive out in the world, and then they very quickly realize that the most fun thing for them to do is just camp the places that fresh spawns like us are trying to go to and murder us. Like I feel like most of my experiences so far playing this game have ended with me going somewhere to try to get basic loot, only to find that it's being camped by a geared character who's just waiting for people to show up to shoot them with a sniper rifle. Oh, and have I ever mentioned how much I despise teleporting enemies in games? Yeah, I really hate that. I think it's like one of the cheapest design motifs ever in gaming. Oh, look at that body going sliding. That's not cool. That's
And
that's
apparently I died.
yeah, that's really not cool. So apparently Daisy Standalone is not the only game with the sliding body effect. And also that monster apparently had a wallet because he just dropped some cash, but we'll let that slide because, well, money's useful. So, Max, that was kind of a bummer, but since we are actually grouped together, we may be able to find each other again pretty easily. Where did you end up?
I'm trying to see right now because apparently when you die, it just automatically spawns you out or brings you back to the server screen, which is kind of annoying.
Oh, really? Oh, you know what it is? At least in my experience, what it is the buttons are labeled weirdly. Like there's two buttons you can hit, and the one that you would think would just respawn you actually takes you back to the server screen. So you have to hit the other button.
Ah,
Yeah, it's like Switch or something like that. I forget the way that they're labeled, to be honest. But yeah, that was my experience with it anyway, was that you had to hit the button that was opposite of what you thought it should be.
Oh, okay.
So I must say, this new patch seems to do at least one good thing, which is that there seems to be more loot just laying around in some of these buildings than there used to be. 'Cause I know one of my big complaints with this game when I first started looking at it was that you really would just run around for quite a while trying to find anything of use, and it was a real chore. Now, there are certainly go-to areas that seem to be more useful, like rooftops and sort of ambulances and things with flashing lights are generally things that indicate that there's likely to be loot present. But as I was saying before, those tend to attract higher level characters who are just interested in sniping fresh spawns. So I tend to like to avoid places like that and just go for more obscure places. And in previous versions of the game anyway, the pickings were kind of slim in those places. Seems to be a little bit less the case here. Oh, check it out. It's a Volvo truck. We should find another one of these and get Jean-Claude Van Damme to, like, rock it out.
Huh. You can fight Steven Seagal.
Is that, like, is he related to Jonathan Livingston Seagal?
Could be. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm just looking around. I'm assuming you're checking out the map and, like, finding where I am.
Apparently it disbanded the group.
Well, here, that'll give me an opportunity to show the interface for re-inviting you. So, as I said, in the settings here, there are no options for adjusting audio, at least none that I've been able to find. You only really get video options. But there's this handy group menu thingy, which will allow me to re-invite him, theoretically. Did you get that?
Yes, I did.
Alrighty. Okay, so, let's see. I'm basically just kind of trying to head over into that general area that we were talking about.
Yeah, makes sense.
Crap. So there's one of those flashing light type things, which, as I said, could lead to a hot... Oh, it's another. It's a teleporting enemy. Oh, my Jubus. He's probably going to be behind me. Yep, there he is. Oh, I wish my friend wasn't dead. Alright, I killed the Nether. Oh no, I'm being shot at. Being shot at. I was about to say I only lost a little bit. Oh shoot, player killed.
Aw, dude.
Yeah, I was about to say I only lost a little bit of health fighting that Nether, but then I immediately got jacked as soon as it went down. And with only a kitchen knife to defend myself, there was really nothing to do but die. Like, I could have kept running there, but, yeah. So, let's see, main menu or switch. I think switch is what you hit. Yeah, that brings you back to the character creation screen.
Okay.
Totally counterintuitive, but that's how it works. Let me go ahead and respawn here and see where I end up. Oh look, there's a Volvo truck. I hope I'm not right where I just got killed. One thing about the map design in this game is that things tend to look very samey, so it's really easy to get confused. Oh, okay, so it's actually indicating some stuff on the map that it normally doesn't. Let's see. Okay. So there's apparently an event happening up in the northwest corner of the map, but that's not particularly relevant to me. I see you're in the safe zone, and there's a loot drop happening, and actually not too far from you to the east. Yeah, see, I'm in a completely different part of the map, even though it looked similar. Like, I was over here before, but now it's spawned me over here. But, like, as I was saying, this environment doesn't look radically different from where I just was, so you really have to take a moment and look at the map when you first spawn in so you don't get thrown off thinking you're somewhere that you're not. I guess what I'm going to do, Max, is just try to make my way to you, and maybe, since we're going to have to spend a little time doing that, we can just talk about the game in general, and I'd recorded some footage previously of some interesting stuff that I can kind of throw up in the corner, so folks have something more interesting to watch while we walk around. But basically, as I said at the beginning, this game is just a PvP fest. Is the easiest way to I think distinguish it from other games of this type. Whereas something like DayZ or Deadlinger or what have you tends to be a little more questionable as to whether or not your player encounters are going to be hostile. I've yet to have a player encounter in this game outside of a safe zone that didn't end up in either a knife battle or me getting shot at and having to shoot somebody in response, or them just shooting me, in cold blood.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so one thing that I should probably explain and why the safe zones in this game are so important is that you have a global inventory that you can make use of, which basically means if I run around here and scavenge a bunch of stuff and then I go to the safe zone, I can actually store that stuff in a global inventory and then retrieve it later on a different character. So that's basically how you kind of preserve your progression in the game to a certain extent. Because if you can manage to get some useful stuff and then store it in the inventory, then you'll be able to at least re-gear yourself a little bit if you do die. Well, when you do die, because you are going to die at some point playing this game. Either by the crazy teleporting monster enemies or by bloodthirsty player killers.
Yeah, I mean, even the geared players, as soon as they run into one another, they're probably going to end up dying, whether it be from the encounter itself or trying to get back to the safe zone and avoiding all the nethers, which is pretty hard.
Yeah, the nethers can be very persistent. Like, I had a fresh spawn the other day where I just came in and walked around a couple of corners and immediately ran into two of those giant hulking ones that just proceeded to like chase me up on top of a building and punch me off of it.
That's not nice.
No, they were very not nice. But I mean, it's kind of good, kind of bad in a way, right? Because like it's good in the sense that it doesn't hold your hand, or it's not, it's not an artificial sense of success when you succeed in this game, because it is a pretty harsh environment. But at the same time, it will just completely jack you up, mercilessly. So it's not like you're going to spawn in and you're going to have any kind of automatic chance at success because you're a fresh spawn. You're going to have to survive pretty much right out the gate. But by the same token, you can find an area that has cool weapons and stuff in it right off the bat and end up getting like a nice shotgun or rifle or whatever within minutes of spawning. So that cuts both ways for sure. But I think the most kind of disturbing thing about the game is just knowing that no matter what you do, at any moment you could get jacked, either by the crazy enemies or another player. It's definitely not like a low-key, kind of low-stress experience. It's more like, how long can you take this before you start to get freaked out?
Yeah, I mean, I remember some of our playthroughs that we've had previously, where it's pretty much been like the same story. As in, like, you know, we'd be. I remember we were on a night server almost, and we were just like slowly inching our way through the map because it was so dark. We couldn't really even see any Nether, even if it were like right in front of us.
hmm Well, and then once they locked on to us, it was pretty much just game over because they were just relentless. One thing that's really weird about this game is the collision detection. Like certain objects, you can walk right through them, like or if you try to jump on them, you actually fall into them. But other objects completely have weight and mass and will stop you, like cold, if you try to run into them. So I'm assuming, at least to some extent, that that's just a case of the game being in development and not all the collision markers not being in place yet, but it's kind of weird how hit and miss it is.
Wow, so I died and it spawned me right next to you practically.
No, that's good. Well, maybe that it might have done that because we're grouped, or we might have just gotten lucky. Can you see the gas station? Because I'm kind of near that, or actually right at it, basically. Let me just check the map real quick and see where you are in relation to me. Okay, yeah, you're a block over. Do you want me to come to you, or do you want to come to me?
Got a Nether on me.
Alright, I'll try to come help you out. One thing about sprinting in this game is you can't do it for very long, so as a general rule, you're going to want to save it until you actually really need it, either to dodge an enemy or... Oh, shit! Player killed. Not cool. He get you too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's really what this game boils down to. In like there, I just completely ran, kind of balls out just to try to get to you, and I did get to you, but in the process, I probably like revealed our position to that guy, and then he just was like, oh, newbies to kill, super fun, because that's how I like spending my time, killing people with a automatic weapon when they're running around with kitchen knives. That's a great challenge and super rewarding and fun. What I think it is for me more so is that people, it's just one of those cases where if you live on this game and you put the time into it, you're going to eventually get to a point where you just have such a storage of stuff because of the global inventory. Because like I say, if you know kind of where to go to find things, it's pretty easy to actually go around and find weapons and stuff. I think the only reason we're struggling at the moment is because we're trying to get together for the purposes of filming this. But if we were just kind of going around on our own and scavenging and trying to get geared up, I think we might be a little more successful. So we might be kind of portraying the game a little differently than it would be if you were playing by yourself. But at the same token, or at the same time, the issue for me is more about player behavior than it is about, whether the game supports that or not. It's just that whole idea of, I'm going to just run around and kill people who have no possible chance of defending themselves. Like, I think that to me is the bigger issue. So it's almost like a community thing. It's like, at what point do people get bored with that and decide, hey, you know what, it's just not a suitable challenge, or it's not rewarding enough to go around killing unarmed people. Like, at what point do you start to, get beyond that? And I don't know if that will ever be the case in this game or not, but I think that attitude or that kind of prevailing concept of people considering it fun to do that sort of thing is definitely hurting the game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I couldn't put it better myself. And honestly, that is the bigger issue.
Because the thing is, I mean, in any game, if you want to have a community, if you want to have people coming in and playing the game and learning it and having the pool of people who are playing the game constantly kind of growing and evolving, if you just you club people like baby seals as soon as they start trying to play the game, that's just going to discourage them from continuing to play it. Like if you're a fan of this game and you want it to have like a long-term successful community, you have to think about things like that, because all you're really doing by acting that way is just discouraging people from playing, and then that's inevitably just going to kill the game, because eventually it'll just be, the handful of people who want to go around killing everybody who's a fresh spawn, and there won't be any more fresh spawns to kill because they all get fed up and just leave.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that fine line that you walk, especially if you go, hard, shifted so hardcore, especially in terms of PvP. I think there's some way that you got to find a way to balance that out at some point.
Well, I think one thing that the game creators could definitely do to address that, and I'm kind of surprised they haven't already, is just spawn people with pistols, in a clip or two. Like, don't be ridiculous about it, but, just give people some chance to defend themselves from those ranged attacks, because having to spawn with the kitchen knife every time, like, you're basically just saying, here, I'm a baby seal, come and club me. I mean, that's basically what you're doing to a new player. And, just give them, like I say, a clip or two, just enough so that they can kind of defend themselves, but then they also have to weigh whether or not they actually want to use those bullets, say, against Nethers and potentially give away their position, or, if the situation actually warrants shooting. Like, just because you give people a pistol and a clip or two doesn't mean they're necessarily going to use it, but it at least gives them an option, at least gives them a fighting chance, as opposed to just running around here with this stupid knife trying to survive against these practically insurmountable odds.
Trying to Mike Myers everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and whatever, different strokes for different folks and whatever. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are really into the way this game is tuned and whatnot, but I would say for myself, I see that as a bit of an issue with it, for sure. Oh, and it's nighttime, which means you guys are probably going to have a little bit of trouble seeing what happens from here on out. Let me see if I can get out into a more open area that has some more light, which will probably get me killed, but that's okay. So you can probably see off in the distance there's some smoke. Smoke generally is indicative of an area that has loot in it. So it's, again, one of the things where if you're trying to get loot, you can follow things like that, but also keeping in mind that there might be people camping that loot just waiting to kill you. So it's definitely a risk to go after those sorts of things. But I also like to check out rooftops as much as possible, because I feel like I found most of my best loot up on roofs in this game. Like, usually there's some kind of cache of weapons or supplies or what have you, which, makes a lot of sense, because in an urban environment like this, you would figure that people would, try to hold out on rooftops. So it makes sense that you would find items in a situation like this.
Rooftops for the win.
Yeah, I actually had a really kind of awesome rooftop encounter the other day when I was recording some stuff for this, and it was just crazy. I went up on a roof, found a gun, and then there was a guy on another roof who didn't see me. And it's actually one of the first times ever in a game like this where I've actually taken the first shot, because I knew that if the guy saw me, he would fire at me. So I figured I better take advantage of the fact that I had the drop on him, and he just completely dodged me and ended up, falling off the side of the other building. By the time I got over there and tried to find him, he had repositioned and almost took me out. But then I basically did the same thing to him that he did to me by dropping off the side. And by the time he figured out where I was, I actually had capped him, which was pretty cool. It was like one of the better PvP encounters I've had in this game, actually. But again, it was because I had found a pistol, that I actually had a chance. Had I encountered that dude with the standard kitchen knife, there's not a lot I could have done in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, your best bet would have been trying to hide and wait till he was vulnerable.
Yeah, and it's definitely tough, though, to find people, to pick them out, because everything's so muddy and kind of dark and difficult to see in a lot of ways. Hey, I found a pistol. How about that? Always check your rooftops in this game. I can't overstate how often I've found like decent, useful loot on these rooftops. It is wicked dark out here, though. I'm kind of afraid to come down off this roof because I literally can't see anything. I actually heard a Nether below me, and I'm not sure if that's because it saw me or if somebody else is down here that triggered it. But I think a big problem for me with this game, honestly, is that I tend to not be a shoot first kind of guy in most games that are like this. Obviously if it's a deathmatch kind of game, then all bets are off. But I tend to be the kind of player who wants to give people the benefit of the doubt, in a situation like this. And it's like, I'm not going to shoot at somebody unless they shoot at me first as a general rule. But this game definitely makes that sort of play style difficult. Like, it's pretty hard to give somebody in this game the benefit of the doubt because you're pretty much 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100 going to just eat a bullet for it.
Yeah. There's definitely no way around the PvP aspect in this game.
Yeah. And, again, I think as long as the playing field is somewhat level, it's totally fine. It's just because there's such a discrepancy between how you start the game and how people can very quickly end up, that makes it a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we probably talked through enough of this. I mean, obviously it's still a work in progress, and there's still more that's going to be done with this game. We probably should mention that, like, in the safe zones, there are vendors who will trade you for items that you scavenge around the world and give you money and experience points and let you buy and sell items and stuff like that. So there is a bit of a light RPG kind of aspect to this game, but it's really pretty basic, so it's nothing to get too, worked up or excited about. I definitely wouldn't say that this is like an RPG proper. It's more of just, an action survival game with some RPG elements to it, is probably how I'd characterize it.
RPG elements.
Yeah, RPG elements. Sounds like some back-of-the-box stuff. I think what I'm going to do is go find a Nether and go out in a blaze of glory since I have this pistol.
Sounds like a plan.
Here comes one. Oh, here comes more than one. Oh, I didn't even get to fire. That's how badly I got jacked. And that's Nether.